Okay, so welcome to this week's contributor call. It's been a few weeks since we had one because I was traveling and various things. So things have been going really well. We got auth released on, so the latest version has auth in it, but it's not set up by default. But people are using that, and so far the feedback has been pretty good, except for maybe some bugs with CSRF. So we need to look into that. Um, and on Canary right now, if you install Blitz at Canary and set up a new app, then auth is set up by default, but you're forced to use React Final Form. You don't get a choice. So the one I'm working on this week is adding that as a option. So when you run Blitz new, we'll show a prompt, and we'll start with React Final Form or React Hook Form, and then we'll add Formic later. But once we get that choice in there, then we can basically cut a new latest release that people can start using. And then, so that's my focus for this week. And then my next kind of goal after that is to add password reset and email confirmation in by default for new apps, because those are, everybody is going to need those if they're using email and password for login. So that'll be really nice to get that into. And then after that, we'll probably start looking at like plugins, a few things like that to kind of, get moving towards. And the logging system, I want to kind of overhaul our logging, because right now it's kind of a mess. And you can't really configure anything. You can't filter passwords or sensitive data. And so we need to work on that. But moving closer towards a beta version, like basically we'll just, at some point we'll just say, hey, we're now beta. But I think we're getting fairly. Oh, that was weird. Zoom like crashed on me.
Lost you for a second.
Okay.
All right, well, we got you back now.
All right. Okay, so I was basically finished talking.
No, that
Cool.
was good.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Why support so many different form libraries? Why not just pick one and say, hey, this is the golden path?
Because I tried to convince everyone to use React Final Form, but I slowly won a few people over, but there's still people who really like React Hook Form. But in general,
Yeah.
it's kind of goes along with our, like, one of our foundational principles of loose opinions. And it's like, this is one of those cases where it doesn't make sense to have a strong opinion for a form library. Like, they're all roughly similar. They all do the same thing. There's different trade-offs. Some are better than others. But
Yeah.
it makes sense to just let people do what they want. So, like, for example, Redwood has React Hook Form built into it, I think. So it's just like built in. But I think we want to take a layer back from that, and like you let you choose to use anything, because maybe you have some highly custom thing and we don't want to, like, just let you choose. Same thing for styling libraries. Like, there's enough differences of preferences that it doesn't make sense to have a single default for it.
Sure. Okay. How are you thinking about going to do emails?
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, because on the project I've been looking at, working on, I was looking at using Node Mailer as an abstraction to do emails. I was curious how you think that might work in a serverless environment, doing emails, knowing that there's no queue system at the moment.
Right. So my recommendation and how I build apps is to not send emails directly, but to use a third-party service. So instead of using STMP to send emails, just make an API call to your email provider, so Postmark or SendGrid or whatever, and then let them do the actual sending of the email.
Okay.
So I haven't looked into like how to do it in serverless. I'm back. I think it's my internet connection keeps dropping out. It's not good.
Oh, we got you now. Again.
I switched connections, so hopefully it'll stay this time.
Nice.
Did that answer your question, Dwight, about emails?
Yeah. It's an exciting feature. That'd be good to have that part of authentication handled.
Okay, Adam, you want to go
Yeah, definitely.
give an update on what you've been working
It's
on?
my big thing that I've been working on the last. Yeah. So the last couple of weeks, my big thing has been just the code mod stuff for both the generator and recipes. Finally got that all migrated over to JS CodeShift, which gives us a much nicer and like cleaner API, as well as like nice functional wrappers around things rather than like manually modifying AST nodes and like imperatively. So it's just a little bit of a cleaner API. And doing the PR, but just like in general, just the complexity is a lot lower. Like the lines of code is like cut in half for a lot of the transforms. And it also gives us access to things like the template, the like template statements, tag template literal function that they have, where you can just like in a lot of like the like emotion and material UI recipes, right? They're just inserting like huge chunks of JavaScript, which is really hard to manually construct AST nodes, but they now have this function that you can just like pass in a string of TypeScript and it will parse it out into the AST nodes, so you don't have to like manually construct the whole thing. And so I didn't include the like conversion to that as a part of my PR, but it's something I'm planning on going back and doing. It'll also make writing future recipes a little bit easier if there's like a large amount of code to add. Like especially I know for the getting auth set up as a recipe, it'll help a lot to be able to just like write some TypeScript, pass it to a function, and have it do the thing. So that's all good there. I'm gonna pick up next the custom templates. So the basic functionality there, right, is like we want to be able to give users a directory where they can store templates, and then when we're running the generator, if you pass a template name that's either in the default Blitz template set or that we find inside of their templates directory, we'll just use that template as the generator. And as a part of this, also, if none of the templates match, part of my plan for this ticket was also to use Inquirer and actually like prompt and say like, hey, we didn't find that model, but like, would you like to generate one of these other existing ones? Just to make that user experience a little bit nicer. And then the last thing
I'll create a new
worry
template.
about, the last thing to worry about there is
You could prompt them.
make a new
You could
template.
prompt for that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so the last thing is like the create a new template workflow, which I think rather than have it as a part of like Blitz generate, which is what we were talking about in the issue, I think it makes sense just to have like a purpose-built command that's just like Blitz create template or something, and then we like don't have to deal with the like vagueness around naming when we were talking about like Blitz generate template versus Blitz generate eject or whatever, and like connotations around ejecting and things like that. And so I think just like Blitz create template will like create dash template will just be a little clearer and a little bit more of an obvious experience. If you're like trying to figure out how to customize the templates, that's just like a much more obvious thing. And then I still haven't fully figured out how to deal with naming collisions. I think the right answer is probably just like if names collide, override it with what the user has in their templates directory. Like assume that they wanted theirs and not the default ones. But
yeah, I think so.
The only thing I'm worried about is like, will it like coming onto an existing Blitz project, if someone's like got some templates in there that you didn't know about, it's going to generate stuff different than what we're showing in the docs. But maybe we can just show like a quick log at the top or something that's just like, hey, like we found a custom template in your apps directory, we're using that one instead. But in any event, that's all like minor user experience stuff. But overall, it's a pretty straightforward problem. So I should have that up and running hopefully this week.
Cool. I'm excited for this because this is like this is the only way generators are like going to really work throughout the life of a project. And like the
Right.
same way as Rails, like for most projects, like I would only use Rails to generate like a model or a controller, but then you like change a bunch of stuff anyways. And so it's like sort of like not worth it. It's kind of, but if you can have a custom template where once you get your app set up and you have your layout set up like you want, and you can generate a page or your queries and mutations, like it's going to be so sweet.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited for that. And I wanted the other thing like I wanted to have before that happened was the like JSX conditional code. But that's in the PR that's up right now. And so yeah, being able to like just like in JSX do like an if else rather than having to nest the JavaScript code, I think makes the custom template experience a lot nicer. Whereas like if you're like embedding JavaScript functions and you're left with like random curly braces in your output and stuff, it's a weird experience.
Yeah, that's awesome feature.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got right now. Oh, and also the like singular version of all the generations. So singular mutation and singular page to go with the single query generator.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah.
One thing I forgot to mention was I did a live stream with Kitsy about a week or two ago. That went well, and he's super excited about Blitz, and he's as soon as I get this next stable release cut, he's going to start building a production app with it.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I watched the stream live. It was a cool one.
Okay. Anyone else have anything you want to give an update on that you've been working on, or questions?
I've just been making little PRs and fixes where I can. I'm still trying to get into the swing of things. I'm awful at TypeScript, so that's all very new to me. But I'm keen to get more involved, but I'm still just getting my feet wet. It's an exciting project, though.
That's great. We really appreciate your help.
And thank you for the invite.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Most of my life. But I'll definitely see where I can help out as a contributor. But for now, just still rewriting an existing application into Blitz. So definitely any errors that I run into, I'll share. Yeah, I'm kind of figuring out auth because there was some administrative privileges in the application itself, different from regular users. I'm using this library called Castle to get that in. I don't know if any of you guys know about it.
I've heard of it.
But yeah, I'll share as much as I can.
Cool. And feel free to improve the documentation too. If you're going through documentation, if you find anything that's confusing, like you can even if you don't know how to fix it, you can open an issue in the website repo. Say like, hey, this is confusing. Or if you have an idea of how it can be better, then there's a link at the bottom of the page. And if you click on that, it'll open up the file in your browser, and you can edit it and submit a PR.
I'll probably do that. I think there was some stuff around generate, which I think could add a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think the authentication docs also include all the scaffolding templates, but now they kind of come out of the box. So whether they need to be there anymore is a good question.
So there's once we get this next release cut, probably this week, where it's marked as the latest release on npm, tagged as latest, then we can change that. But it's not there yet. So the default experience, if you just install Blitz and generate a new app, the code still isn't there yet.
Oh yeah, fair call. So what's next? 17.1?
It'll be 18. Or
Okay,
yeah,
nice.
or 0.18.0.
Yeah.
And then this also, okay. Yeah, I think this has Super JSON. This will be the first latest release with Super JSON, I think, too.
Yeah.
So that'll be awesome.
Is that with the automatic passing and deserialization when
Yes.
doing static props, or is that okay? Awesome. That's really cool. Looking forward to that.
Oh, let's see. It may or may not have it in just static props. I should open an issue on that. Maybe I do. I forget if there's an issue. It's just as simple as
I've
adding
been
Babel
playing with
plugin
the
in our config.
Yeah, I've been playing with the Babel plugin, but I keep getting into errors. So maybe I'll open an issue around that. It could be my problem, but I've given it a couple of goes and couldn't get it going.
Okay, definitely open an issue in the Super JSON repo or the Babel plugin repo. Like, I'm not sure. Either one
Yeah,
is
I'll give
totally
it a go.
fine.
Easy.
Yeah, it's probably worth getting that a little bit more tested before adding it in Blitz by default, so we don't cause people problems.
What's the worst we can do?
And Dwight, I just published a new Super JSON version today, so you could update to that latest Super JSON version and see if you still have issues.
Sorry, I lost you there.
I just published a new Super JSON version today, so you can update to
Oh,
that
cool.
and see if you still have an
And
issue.
Safari.
It's quite a few changes, so under the hood.
Okay, beautiful. I'll give it a go. Thank you.
One big one was deserialization did not work properly in Safari, and that's been fixed.
Cool. That's awesome.
Okay. Anything else?
Nothing comes to mind.
Okay. I think we can wrap it up for today. Good to see you all, talk to you, and we'll see you around in Slack.
Sounds good. See
Cool.
you, Brandon.
Have a good one.
Bye.